I'd like to think with you for a moment about some good ways I think we can use this textbook. I teach with this book as a guide that opens windows of inquiry by providing kind of initial information about the biblical books. Students usually come knowing little about the Bible, even if they know certain passages well. They know little about the genre of the books. They don't know much about the content of the overall story, and they don't know much about the history of the time. Students then need some help in just getting the factual data. I think the material in the book helps them do that. But students will not always be clear about the implications of what the book says about the Bible. And so we need to help them in our class understand the data yet more clearly. So we need to expand on the material that's in the text in our classroom presentations. And that will help them, I think, be clearer about what the data means when they go to read these texts, and help them arrive at more reasoned understandings of what's really in the text. If we argue that the biblical books are not history or science the way that I do, then we really have to show students what they are. It's not enough for us to say simply that they are ancient books that use old and irrelevant ways of thinking when we have such an enlightened society now. Because students know better. Students see the Bible used powerfully and often. Sometimes they see it supporting positions on one end of the political spectrum and some on the other, or one end of an ideological argument or on the other. They know that the Bible remains a powerful book. And one of the things we can help them do best, I think, is help them recognize more reasoned uses of the text. Some uses that are more true to what the text really want to say and what the text really want to accomplish than what other views are. When I do this, I try to accomplish this broader understanding of the text, and even the understanding the specifics of the text, by supplementing the textbook with readings from the biblical text itself. The textbook includes some readings from the Bible, but larger sections of text from the Bible help students get the texture of the books, to see what some of the broader themes is that the book talks about, but they come to life more when they actually see them in the text. And those broader themes then give a context for some of the specific things that are said in the text, and so help students recognize the way that particular statements only mean things in the particular context in which they're said. Or if I can say that better, we help students to recognize that the specific things said in the text have a particular meaning that draws on the broader context in which they are said, in the historical context and in the literary context. I hope this combination of reading the textbook along with the biblical text helps students see the kinds of important questions that biblical writers address. Certainly I tell them about them in the textbook, but them reading them for themselves in the text can be an important supplement to that summary that they leave. And I think when the students encounter the text in those readings, they can come to class and participate in discussions about how those people viewed the world. They can come to class and discuss how viewing the world in one way has particular advantages and certain disadvantages. How does understanding one's place in the world in a pre-Enlightenment view contribute to your place in the world? And how does a post-Enlightenment view give a different reading of who we are and what our place is on the planet? So I hope that those readings and what I say about the text help them think about the advantages and disadvantages of different kinds of understandings of the world. You'll see at the end of each chapter of the textbook that I have some questions for discussion. I hope that those questions can serve as entrees for the kinds of discussion I've been talking about. Some of those questions simply ask for content, but others ask the students to reflect on what they are learning. And I hope those questions that call for reflection help introduce the kinds of rich discussions that I think the topics that biblical texts raise can move students to engage in. Asking students to have answers to some of those questions can help provide an opening for that discussion of important issues of values and of meaning. Overall, what I try to do with the textbook, and as I use the textbook in the class, is to help students have a genuine engagement with the ideas and beliefs that we find in the biblical text. However foreign those ideas seem to us, the issues that they raise are still current. And we can use clearer understandings of the biblical text to try to help our students engage the kinds of issues they raise in language and terminology and frames of reference that we know today. And so I hope this textbook and the biblical text along with it can be used to help students engage the important questions of life.